1,679 points, 1,679 points erased from the Dow Jones today. That's almost 4%. 274 points erased from the S&P 500, down 4.84%. And 1,050 points erased, wiped off of the NASDAQ exchange, down 5.97%. 10-year bond yield almost broke below 4%. Things are basically in free fall as a result of the tariff rollout, I should say additional tariff rollout yesterday on Liberation Day by President Trump. And the Dow futures, as of right now, are also, I believe, down. I'm going to share a story with you that will encapsulate the bloodshed from today's market sell-off. And it's from CNBC a little while ago. It says Dow futures open lower after tariffs push market to biggest losses since 2020. If you guys are in the stock market, if you are only long in the stock market, I guess I'm saying prayers right now. I did a video last week entitled Run for the Hills. And I just got a text from a friend of mine earlier. He lost $145,000 in the market today. Now, again, losses are only realized. Again, I'm not giving you economic advice, but until you sell, I guess you don't officially take the loss, right? So I just hope that those that are in the markets that have their retirement accounts in these markets, their 401ks, they're relying on this money to live, in their retirement years, or maybe you're relying on it now to live in your retirement years. This is what can happen, and I'm not sure that that this is the end of it. I'm not even sure this is not just the tip of the iceberg. And again, not meant to be doom and gloom, but it would make some sense to, from a layperson's perspective, try to put in place a plan if this sell-off continues and you are exposed only on the long side of these markets. Let me share with you the story at CNBC. Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures slid Thursday night after President Donald Trump's tariff plan triggered the biggest slide in U.S. equities in 5 years. Futures tied to the Dow lost 50 points or 0.1% after the blue chip average tumbled more than 1,600 points in the prior session. S&P 500 futures were down 0.1%, while NASDAQ 100 futures were about flat. Recording this video at just about 3:30 PST right now. So it's possible that the futures have shifted into the green, but obviously anything can happen overnight. Thursday night's action follows the worst day since 2020 for each of the three major indexes. The Dow and the S&P dropped roughly 4% and 4.8% respectively, while the NASDAQ plunged nearly 6%. S&P 500 fell back into correction Thursday, down more than 10% from its February all-time high. The Russell 2000, it says, dove more than 6%, the first widely followed measure of U.S. stocks to enter a bear market or a decline of at least 20% from its last peak. Thursday's sell-off hit mega cap technology stocks especially hard, with the Mag 7 sliding more than 6%. Listen to this. Collectively, the stocks in the Mag 7, Magnificent 7, which led the market higher in both 2023 and 2024, lost more than $1 trillion, $1 trillion with a capital T, in market value. It says the NASDAQ has led the way lower for stocks this week, falling 4.5% as the tariff plan drove the investors to reduce their risk exposure. Global markets sold off after Trump on Wednesday announced a baseline tariff, 10% on all imported goods from all countries going into effect April 5th. That's in 2 days. Several nations face far higher tariffs, according to the White House. We covered that in yesterday's show. If you didn't see it, go back and take a look at that. It says investors now wonder if countries will be able to strike trade deals with the U.S. to reduce the tariff duties. Trump said Thursday he is open to trade negotiations. So let's see what happens. Okay, this is massive. You have some backlash now. You have some pushback, even from certain Republican senators, thinking this is not a good idea. But look, this is definitely a shakeup. Whatever side of the spectrum you're on, whether you support this move on the tariffs or not, it is a shakeup. It is a massive disturbance. It's having worldwide reverberations and consequences, okay? So again, whether you are individually or directly in the stock market, this stuff rolls downhill. When you have big money folks losing 5, 6, 10% of their portfolio in one day, trust me, it's going to have consequences. And hopefully it's not consequences to you or for your employment. Let me discuss layoffs right now, because we discuss it all the time on the show. It's a story I saw this morning out of Zero Hedge, and the impact that DOGE is having on the layoffs in the government sector. Again, something else I've covered on many shows before, to brace for impact if you are in the government sector, okay, whether you thought your job was secure or not. This is DOGE impact. Federal government layoffs dominate biggest March job losses in 36 years. So over the past 2 months, DOGE actions have been attributed to 280,253, 280,253 layoff plans of federal workers and contractors, impacting 27 agencies. Another 4,429 job cuts have come from the downstream effect of cutting federal aid or ending contracts, impacting mostly nonprofits and health organizations. The government led all sectors in job cuts in March, with 216,215 job cuts, all of which occurred in the federal government. Remember, during the last administration, every time the jobs reports came out, you would see an uptick in government jobs. As far back as I can remember, you saw the government jobs being added faster than private sector jobs. Now we see this all reversing course. So far this year, the government has cut 279,445 jobs, an increase of 672% from the 36,195 job cuts announced in the first quarter of 2024. Almost 7x the job cuts in the government sector from 1 year ago. March's total is the third highest monthly total ever recorded. The highest monthly recorded occurred in April of 2020. Of course, we all know what was happening and unfolding and being rolled out, if you will, in April 2020. And that's when 671,000 jobs were cut, followed by May of 2020, where 397,000. So this is where we're at right now. Massive layoffs in the government sector. Again, if you're in that sector, if you're impacted by that sector, by a contractor, I hope that you have, if you've lost a job, praying for you, that you will find something that's better and that will replace the income that you've lost. If you have not lost a job, but you're in that sector, regardless of how secure you think your job is, please think about what's going to happen when your job gets eliminated. If it does not get cut, great, okay? But if it does, what's your backup plan? Do you have a savings account? Do you have some reserves set aside? Do you have other sources of revenues that you can go to pull from to support your family and your loved ones if that should happen to you? So again, bad news again, but it is the news. It's not spinning it. It's not being doom and gloom per se. We're just in a rough patch right now, folks. No asset classes have been spared, by the way. Gold sold off today. about $25 an ounce. At one point, it was down like $70 an ounce. Silver got just annihilated. I don't know why. I haven't dug into it. Silver at one point was down $2 an ounce. I think it closed down something around that. I think in the $21 range per ounce. Massive, massive sell-off in silver. I did see just something briefly earlier that, there's been a huge reversal now in the amount of physical silver that's being set to be delivered into the United States because we discussed yesterday, I'm not so sure it's all bullion, but a certain bullion is exempt from the tariffs. So maybe that's got something to do with it. Also, from my perspective as a layperson following the gold and silver market now for 13, 14 years, when you have a big sell-off in the stock market, you get margin calls, and people have to sell whatever is liquid to cover their margin calls and their stock losses. So I'm sure you had some massive margin calls as well today that put a huge selling pressure on gold and silver. Nothing's changed. The debt levels haven't changed. The fact that the Federal Reserve, in my opinion, is going to have to reverse course sooner than later now and start likely cutting interest rates. All those things are hugely positive for precious metals. Again, don't get shaken out. Again, not financial advice, trading advice, but this is the kind of stuff you want to be holding on to. And again, everything goes in cycles. We're having everything across the board rough patch. Cryptocurrency sold off today. Bitcoin was down about 5%. XRP fell below $2 a coin today. Bounced back. I think now it's about 206. Bitcoin's back up in the 83, I think high 83,000 range. So nothing has been immune from this blood in the streets, if you will. So I hope everyone is, other than that, focusing on what you can control, focusing on your health, your exercise routine, focusing on shoring up your resources, paying off your debt, making yourself just more sustainable in every way that you possibly can. All right. Care about you guys. Appreciate you watching the show, supporting the channel, subscribing. And I'll check in later on this week. Tomorrow's already Friday. Let's see what happens. If this sell-off deepens, or if the markets are able to make a bit of a dead cat bounce tomorrow. But unless we have a massive reversal in the Trump policy on tariffs, which I don't see coming anytime soon, this thing could just be getting started. So get your popcorn. Buckle up, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.